And then just goof off until Spike is available.
There we are.
Hold on, I gotta play my new sound effects.
Well, great one.
I love the fake mic reverb, whatever that's called. What's that called? Feedback.
This is the Black Powder Podcast, coming at you live and direct. This is without sound effects. This is my natural voice. You know, I was on the Are You Smarter Than a Politician earlier this week, and
did you lose again horribly?
I lost. I came in a solid second place, but the winner said, "Great, I have to go against James Earl Jones, the Darth Vader voice," and I was like, yeah.
Listen, I was on that show and I came in 5th place.
There were 5 places.
There were people who didn't even know the show existed beat me. It was horrible.
That is
Joe,
true. Joe's got a pretty deep voice.
He does.
It catches you off guard. You know?
I want to talk to my spirit libertarian free here. Yeah, I was the first loser, and you set me up. You set me up for that crap, bro. Because Hody had his mom, his brother, I think his cousin, his third cousin. He was in Utah, so cousins, you could
all related.
Yeah, you could say there was about 15, 16 cousins, and they kept giving them points. I made some valid arguments. I did.
Hold on.
Any of his sister wives?
Oh, wait. This is the black man fussing about somebody else having too many cousins. I have to make that very clear.
The fact that you said fussins, I gotta actually give you respect for that point right there. The fussin, because that is a colloquialism that we very much enjoy saying. So thank you for that. And I want to point this out for free. It was his birthday too, and I guess since he didn't have a party, everybody just jumped on and gave him points and all that BS. But I want to point out this comment right here. I thought you were awesome, Marcus. Wow. I wake up every...
Is that your own account that you got logging in right now?
I wake up every morning thinking that same thing. Sometimes I pause brushing my teeth because I'm just mesmerized. I'm like, that's me.
But how did I get this ugly in 52 years?
Did you got that rote and lipstick on your mirror?
I'd rather not discuss my personal business.
And which guy let you borrow his lipstick?
Can we?
Hey,
that's a great segue.
Marcus, can you send Spike the link again? He said he didn't get it.
Okay.
Well, with that being said, while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and try and pay some bills. All right.
Yeah, go ahead and take care of that.
So, guys, as y'all know, by bills, I mean my bills. I'm a new dad. I need y'all to send me money, please. No, I'm just kidding. I am a new dad, and with that being said, I'm taking firearm safety seriously. That's why I went out and picked me up a Stopbox USA gun safe here, and of course the stereotypical libertarian. I got the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. This thing's pretty sweet. It's no electronics, no key switches. It's just these buttons. You push them down in a certain combination. Push the thumb in, push down on the lid, opens up, and that's where I keep my everyday carry Beretta Nano 9mm. Obviously, with a 3-week-old, I'm not too worried about her being able to go in my nightstand and grab it just yet, but it's always important to be safe. They're not an official sponsor yet. We're working on it. But with that said, I do have this coupon code for 15% off your first purchase. If y'all could see that, KFQRW8. I don't know how many of these they are. They sent me 2, so I assume you could use that as many times as you want. If it doesn't work, then Joe Hanush used it before anyone else, and he got the discount. But we're working on them working on an affiliate program with them. Hopefully, they'll give us a discount code, and we'll be trying to, I guess, push the merch. I like it. It's super easy to get into. There's no battery, so it won't die, and you know what I mean? That sort of thing. And it's super small, concealable. I actually got 2. So whenever you got them, mine was buy one, get one free at the time. And they sent me a free extra magazine holder. I don't know if did I have that in here or not. Either way, like for free, that goes on your belt. Universal magazine holder. Nope, don't know where that went. They sent it to me. Anyways, all right, that's Stockbox USA. Marcus, do you put that link up on the screen so people see the website?
Yeah. 1 second, I'm gonna put that link up for you people. And when I say
You people?
yeah, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Now, I want to get into the Californian Libertarian Party convention. I had the opportunity to meet Mika. I meet a lot of interesting people. One of them was a guy I've actually known for 10 plus years. We go way back. And he told me some interesting stories. He's one of the most iconic libertarians that we have modern day, aside from me. You know, being the only real libertarian, it's a struggle. And, you know, like being the most handsome black dude in America, I don't know how Denzel does it. And I just,
Hold on, did you just admit that Denzel's the best looking black dude in America?
No, I said, I don't know.
I think you just gayed out a little bit. I think you just said, you said, I don't know how Denzel does it. I think you basically just said.
Leave it to Pastor Tubb to twist my words. Twist them.
You said it, and I just repeated it.
You know what? I'm getting into our guest because he's a dear friend of mine. A very dear friend of mine. I have a picture to prove it. Tubb said I was
if you have a picture to prove it, then it must be true. Because nobody ever gets their picture taken with him.
What? Does Tubb always make it hard for you to introduce guests, or just
this one?
Does Pastor Tubb always make it hard? Just
literally
me?
Literally impossible.
I don't make it hard on guests that are on time.
That's fair. Well, no, I would have been on time, but I was so dismayed when I was told that this show was called the Black People and Tubb Show. And then I go and I see TBPP, which
the Black People
and Pastor Tubb. Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay,
there it fits.
All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, I take it back. I'm sorry I'm late.
Welcome.
I think the way he meant it is the Black People Who Is Tubb show. That's how that was done.
I just want to ask this question before we get off with going with Spike. Tubb, who learned you how to spoke? Because I don't really understand your Eurobonics right now.
I have no Ebonics.
They're called
I'm the white guy here, remember?
Tabonics. I don't understand.
Tabonics. Well, we had a good run. See y'all later on.
Bye. Yeah, we're gonna go.
I want to thank our guest tonight for coming on, because it for you and I, it was a long journey that culminated in finally a handshake. And you were literally, I showed up to the hotel, literally I check in, turn a corner, literally the first person I see is you and your lovely wife.
Yep.
Who actually liked more than you for several
that's
reasons.
what happened. Everyone here likes her more than me. That's some new innovation on your part.
Spike, I like you.
I'm not saying it was a new innovation, but I see why everybody calls you Mrs. Tasha Cohen, because her presence
whatever they call it.
It's a little, that was a little off. Tasha's husband, they call me, but it implies I'm still a male. I was not.
Mrs. I like that.
It was close.
You're off to a great start, Marcus. Keep it going. Keep going. You're crushing it, dude.
Hey, dude, her presence was immense, because when they messed up Spike's food, she was like, "Where did she go?" And she was like, "She's in the back in the kitchen, telling them how to prepare his meal." And this was no joke. She was like the road warrior for Spike, and I was like, "That's some of the most impressive poop I've ever." I try to.
Marcus, just be your sinning self.
That was some of the most impressive shit I've ever seen in my life.
Heathen that you are, Marcus. We all know.
It's around the
There's just too many Christians on this show.
Exactly.
I can't say what I really mean anymore.
Spike,
go ahead.
There's not too many Christians. There might be 3 of us. That other one, not even close, dude. His dad was a deacon, but that's it.
I think Marcus is close. He thought just, I think Marcus is close.
All right, so
we're working on him. We got him to quit cussing.
At the Ron Paul, I'm not going to name drop a lot. That's why I'm going to do on the show. So I was at the Ron Paul. I spoke at the Ron Paul birthday party a couple of weeks ago, And when I was sitting in like where the attendees were, everyone else ate barbecue because it was a barbecue. They called it the Ron Paul birthday barbecue. But I'm on my special restrictive Bubble Boy diet where I can't have most foods. And so my wife made sure I was sat down, and then she brought out this like cooler, and it had shrimp and salmon and I think like broccoli and carrots, and she made sure I had a couple waters, and then she went off and was talking with people. She came back and made sure that like I had gotten everything I needed, and then when it was over, she picked up my plates, and like
did
like
you
all
have a thermos with
43-year-old
that
men have.
lunchbox?
What's that?
Like, did you have a thermos with that lunchbox?
It was a
Like,
lunchbox.
with your
No,
little
it was.
seafood Lunchable?
And yeah, it was a lunchbox with ice packs in it. And it had all my food that she had, made sure.
Little Superman lunchbox.
Yeah. And so I noticed other people were looking at me like, what package did you get? Because like I have this, very well-dressed woman bringing me my shrimp and my salmon and everything.
So
and that's
more
when I
importantly,
realized this is why people call me Mrs. Tash at whatever market.
Whatever. Never mind. So let me see if I have this right. You sat amongst the little people and had a special dinner.
Yeah. Well, I am still a man of the people. Yeah, no, I'm still a man of you people, but but I'm not one of you people. I'm amongst you people.
He spends time with the great. Hey, wait a minute. So, do we have a purpose for having him on, or is this it? Is this just what we're doing here?
No one told me. No one told me.
No.
Well, we would have covered that 15 minutes before the show.
This is it.
Like right before all of this started, Spike, you would have known exactly what we were doing. In fact, we all would have known.
Fair.
Oh, so now we have to ask him the question we asked all of our guests in backstage. Spike, is there anything you don't want to talk about tonight?
Oh man, here, let me give you a list.
Feel free to mention it right now.
Well, I've got my scandal list here. Definitely not the thing with the little people. And
is that midgets or children?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Like, did we have a midgets issue?
Midgets. No, I meant midgets. I meant like little like adults, persons. Can't find it.
Hold on.
No, just the midget thing. Just
are there specific midgets we can't talk about, or just any?
Really, any of them?
Oh.
I think I've not.
Well, there goes my segment.
I've not had a good track record.
I'll sit here quietly because I had 6 questions loaded about midgets. And now they're off the table.
They're all right there.
Again, I'm sorry.
Right.
Wait, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so disruptive.
I don't know if you saw, because last time you were on, you were also late, and I mentioned that you were black.
Well done. Yeah. Nice
job,
Marcus.
I told him. I told everybody, hey, don't worry about it. He's my guy. This is what we do as a people. What we do. That's why I put Spike and I at the top of this platform. Soul Brother number one.
Black people,
because we're the black ones. Yeah,
this is the black people and Tub show with Eric as our DEI hire. And he's here to say DEI is not all bad.
Actually, so
my wife is 1.9% sub-Saharan African. That's got to.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, that could be South Africa though, and still white.
Hey,
sub-Saharan, right? Is there any of the sub-Saharan? Anyways, I don't like how they separate us in Africa from North Africa, sub-Saharan and Saharan or whatever. But that's another.
You are none of them. Nobody's separating you from them. You are none of them. In all reality, of the 4 people sitting here, you might be the whitest.
You can't prove that in the court of law.
I'd like to consider myself a trans-Saharan African. Like that whole.
You just lost the whole.
Hold on, Spike just admitted he's trans. That's what I heard.
Always supported the T and LGBT.
That's the T, right? Is trans-Saharan Africans? That's the.
It has to be.
With TSA.
With that being said, when Spike and I were at the California, I need to say this real quick: the 4th largest economy in the world.
Can you mention about your dad being a deacon real quick, and we can be done with it?
No, because that's a 4 times. I have to say this 4 times per show. Both of those facts. My dad was a deacon in the church. I was raised in that church, and we're in the 4th largest economy with Spike Cohen, and he told me his origin story about how he delved into politics, and I was sitting there. I was like, are you freaking serious? That was it? You just said, I'm going to do this, and look at Spike Cohen, the international figure that we have on tonight.
That is kind of what happened. Yeah, that was.
Can you tell that story?
Sure. So I was not. I had political opinions, but I didn't really share them publicly. I just, like my close friends knew what I thought about stuff, and I was very focused on my business, and I was actually kind of miserable doing that. I didn't feel like it was particularly fulfilling. It made me good money, but it wasn't fulfilling. And then after I was diagnosed with MS, that really kind of made me. I'm giving the short version. I gave him like the 20-minute version, but I'm already late to the show. So I was after my diagnosis, and I realized that I needed to not just take my health more seriously, but my life was a very finite thing. And I needed to find something fulfilling in it. Now, keep in mind at this time, I wasn't a believer, so I wasn't thinking about eternity. I was just thinking about, for this brief amount of time I'm here, what do I want to do with it? Do I want to just sit at a computer and be miserable? Which is funny because that's what I do now. But anyway, so before that, I'm not miserable anymore. But yeah, I'm just angry now. But I thought, well, what do I want to do? What do I care about? And I thought, well, I care about talking about political things. I feel like, a lot of people don't really understand these things, and I like talking about that. So I started a podcast, and it was mostly just me having my friends on, like Marcus, and
we're not his friends.
And over time, the best friends, and then over time, like I started having like people who weren't my friends, because the show got like kind of more and more popular, and I never grew into like a top 10 or anything like that, but I had a growing viewer base, and I started interviewing like a lot of people I didn't actually know. I like reached out to them, or they'd actually reach out to me to be on the show. And that ended up resulting in me being asked to run for vice president. And I did. And they actually nominated me. And then I did that. Yeah, the Muddy Waters of Freedom and My Fellow Americans, which is the show I had Marcus on. And they actually nominated me, which was nuts, because who was I? And I apparently did a good job doing that run, because it's now turned into all this other stuff. And then coming off of that, I met all these people across the country who were, wanting to do liberty stuff year round and try to actually win sometimes. And I met all these people that were having their lives upended by government officials across the country. And I'm like, hey, there's something here. These people need help. These people want to help. Let's, chocolate peanut butter them together. And so that's what You Are the Power is. So yeah, it really all started with me going like, hey, maybe I'll try politics.
Hey, why not?
Yeah. It kind of worked out, right?
Kind of. Tomorrow morning, I'm flying to New Hampshire to speak to a summit of lawmakers and try to get them to pass legislation similar to what we just got passed in Georgia. So I guess you could say it's getting serious.
I think that's a great opportunity for a segue. I was going to say, before we get into your your new real freedom in Christ, can we talk about some of the wins You're the Power's been having lately?
Absolutely. So
you just brought one up in Georgia, but you can expand on those details more, and then everywhere else that they've been winning.
Sure. So to answer the question, was it worth it? I think so. I think it was, because it was me just saying, hey, I'm going to try this. So I think this was worth that. But so actually, we just had a new victory just a few hours ago. So we found out that there was this town in New York called Cortland, and they were introducing a bill that would have forced disabled people to pay a fee to register and license their wheelchairs. And if they didn't, they would have had to pay fines and possibly jail time. The bill never actually said that. It said that would be determined at a later date, which means fines and jail time. But they said there would definitely be fines. And for what a lot of people don't understand, first of all, that's insane. Also, a lot of disabled people already have difficulty getting around anyway. So giving them this additional burden of you have to go to, I presume, the DMV and have to register your wheelchair. It's just nuts. Like, in addition to just the insult and the infringement, it's also like going to be hard for a lot of them to do that. And so anyway, we go ahead.
I'm speechless.
Someone said something.
Who the hell wrote that bill? I want to publicly eviscerate that person who thought that was a good idea.
Well,
I'm
I don't believe we know who actually introduced it. But what I do know is a few hours ago, after getting a ton of different emails from people across the country about it, when we alerted them to it, they announced that they have tabled it, and that if they ever bring it up again, they'll let everyone know. I have a feeling they're not going to bring it up again, and so we're going to keep an eye on it. If they do bring it up again, we'll go after them again. Because we called for them to, because it called for licensing all sorts of different things, including bicycles, because that's important to make sure anyone with a bike it has to register it as well. So if it comes up again, we'll knock it down again. But that's an example. That's just our most recent victory. We've been reuniting children with their wrongfully accused parents. They were being accused of abuse, even though their children have injuries that are demonstrably caused by syndromes like Ehlers-Danlos and osteogenesis imperfecta and metabolic bone disorder and all these different diseases. And there's no signs of trauma, but their children were being taken from them. The family courts ignored all the actual medical experts saying that kids were not being abused and that they had these health issues. We've been reuniting those families left and right. And we've actually gotten legislation passed in Georgia that stopped a lot of the abuses that were happening at the children's hospitals and with the CPS agencies. The reason that bill actually got passed was because the head of that agency, and Pastor Tubb, you're going to like this, that has a very a Saul to Paul moment. So anyone who's read the book of Acts, it'll sound familiar. The head of the agency, who was like the Saul of innocent children, like she was like, her agency was looking for like kids to take from parents because that's how they get federal funding. And she saw our content. She saw a documentary that was done by a local investigative reporter about the abuses that were happening there. She contacted us privately and said, how do we fix this? And so we privately, again, she wasn't in front of cameras pretending she was going to fix it, whatever. She was coming to us saying, how do we fix it? We privately gave her basically a bulleted list of here's what needs to be done immediately. And she made it policy privately, like she implemented it. Then we announced that it happened. And then she helped us actually get lawmakers on board. I practice saying that a lot, trust me. That we got lawmakers on board to take those policies and make them law. It's called Ridge's Law, which was named after Ridge Collins, which is one of the children with, I believe, Ehlers-Danlos, who was taken from his parents wrongfully. And New Hampshire per capita is possibly the worst state when it comes to abuse of CPS agencies. They literally at one point were putting foster care, children that should have been in foster care in a prison. And all of the horrific things that happen in prison was happening to these foster care children. Some of them thousands of times. And so I'm going up there tomorrow because we're going to say, listen, you were you are the pro-liberty legislators in your legislature. Here is a horrific thing that's happening. The good news is we've already gotten it fixed in other states. Here's what needs to happen. Now, how can we help you do that? And I believe we'll be able to do that.
Now, do we have any correlation between children that grew up in foster care and government facilities and homelessness and criminality?
I don't know specifically with foster care. I do know that children that have gone through the system in general, through CPS systems in general, there's typically a higher rate of all the negative things, problems in school, criminality, poverty, and all of that. Now, to be fair, you don't know how much of that correlates with the fact that they were having to deal with CPS and how much of it correlates with the fact that they may have been in abusive or less than ideal situations. So, I mean, it's tough. But the bottom line is the federal government under Title 4E of the Social Security Act, I'll say it the way that they say it because maybe it'll sound okay. Let me know if you spot the problem here. They give funding to state CPS agencies based on the number of abuse cases they have to deal with.
Well,
you spot the problem there?
Yep.
Absolutely.
That should initiate any problems. That system should just work.
Let me say it the way that I say it.
Feeds you, right?
Yeah. Let me say it the way that I like to say it. They pay CPS agencies every time they accuse someone of abuse. And so
guess what?
there's the old phrase, if you subsidize apples, you get more apples. They're subsidizing a specific outcome. And what we're seeing is there's not only an increase in wrongfully accused parents, but there's also an increase in children dying under abusive situations, especially from like exposure to illegal drugs like fentanyl, overdosing and things like that. We believe what's happening here is that because the CPS agencies are primarily focused on getting funding, they are looking less and less for actually abusive parents, and they're looking more and more for children that they can accuse their parents of abuse as easily as possible. And the easiest ones to accuse are the ones who have, bone fractures and bruising, and whose parents are taking them to the hospital and fully cooperating with authorities and saying, yes, please come into my house. We have to figure out what's going on, what's wrong, because they didn't do anything wrong. And so we think what's happening is they're looking more and more at innocent parents to essentially frame. And that means they're spending less time and resources on looking for actual abusive parents who probably are trying to cover their tracks, or at the very least typically aren't going to be quite as cooperative. They aren't rushing their kids to the hospital because of bone fractures. They're probably keeping them at home because they know what will happen if they do that. So
do you think they're going after they're going after people who are less likely to be able to fight back?
Oh, we're definitely seeing that. And that's across the board. That's not specific to CPS. In general, predators look for the easiest prey. And so typically those who are being roped up in any kind of system that involves punishment or fines or anything like that, usually they're way disproportionately represented by people in the lower strata of the income spectrum there. Like it's usually poor and working class people that are being roped up. Not always. I mean, we've seen some families who were making 6+ figures a year that were accused of this. But yeah, typically and usually those ones are able to successfully fight it because they can drop $250,000 to fight to get their kids' health records, get the best attorneys who have connections within the court system, and to be factually found innocent. Whereas, if you go completely in debt after the first 100,000 or so, and now you're relying on whatever you can get from the state, then yeah, you get railroaded and you still have all that debt and you possibly spend decades in prison and you never see your kids again. And they grow up believing that you abuse them. Oh, and sometimes the kids die because they have chronic health conditions and the state has to ignore it for some time. And so they die from that or from complications from it being ignored for too long. And sometimes they just disappear. Since COVID, Georgia has lost roughly 2,000 of its children.
Just gone.
Right.
A lot of them graduated. So once they turned 18, they just stopped seeing what's up. They just let them go wherever they're going to. It's like a unceremonious, like, all right, well,
good for you.
Now.
Good for you. You've reached that age.
Off you go. Congratulations.
I would like to mention that Marcus just a minute ago, Spike was mentioning the spectrum. He's talking about the financial spectrum, not your spectrum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, not the one. He's like, oh, finally, my people.
Not the neuro-libertarian spectrum. No.
Yeah, I appreciate the clarification on that. And I just want to point out, because we've said this many times on this podcast, government has to justify itself. Yeah. And it does that with the war on drugs. It's doing that with the what was in Spike's realm where he's dealing with these CPSs and all of these things. Here in LA County, we had a young kid, he was like 8-9 years old, that the CPS, LA County CPS knew he was being abused. It was reported, and eventually he succumbed to the injuries throughout the process. And they pretended like, well, we didn't know it was that bad when they had all the information in front of them.
All of it.
But when you see these kids, the government is notorious for going after low-hanging fruit. That's what I talk about with Gavin Newsom all the time. He just goes after the lowest hanging fruit. Currently, it's Trump and the memes, and it's pretty hilarious, as we spoke to earlier this week, right? The memes with Gavin Newsom. But that's what government does. It looks for the lowest hanging fruit and the possibilities, like when the FBI sets up a dumbass for a sting, like, we'll give you this bomb. All you have to do is go put it in this police car or set it in front of a government office. That's what government does. And people look at it like they're protecting us.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with government also is that it has a vested interest in the problem getting worse, because if God willing, you or the power reaches a point where we no longer have any government tyranny to deal with, we'll say, oh, that's great. Good. Let's go do other stuff now. Let's go find something else to deal with. But with the government, they have to justify their funding. They have to justify their employment. They have to justify, like you said, they have to justify themselves. So what you got to do is let the problem keep getting worse, or at least not get any better, and say you need more and more money to deal with it. Now, you have to satisfy whatever metric they put in place. So if you both have to let a problem get worse, but also satisfy a metric I've given you, then you just rope up a bunch of innocent people and leave the guilty people to do whatever it is that they're doing. So you can say, look, even with all these parents that we've found abusing their children left and right, there's still more children out there dying from abuse. That's why we need even more money. And so they literally have a vested interest in it getting worse, in the problem getting worse. Now, if this were a voluntary charity dealing with this, or a business, or just a bunch of individuals working on this together, they'd have a vested interest to fix it, because if they don't fix it, then we can find someone else to fix it and stop donating to them or paying them, or whatever the arrangement would be. We now look for their competitor. Government doesn't get that negative feedback loop. They've cut that off. You have to fund government. You are not allowed to, if you don't fund it, that's called tax evasion. They'll put you in prison. If you try to seek an alternative to it, that's called treason. And so that's the reality is they create that where it's like, yeah, you have to go with us. And so in that arrangement, they have every incentive for the problem to get worse. And so that's what's happening across the country. Ultimately, our goal here is multifold. The first is there are parents right now fighting to get their kids back and to not go to prison. So we're working on that. We're getting families reunited. The next thing is get legislation passed that fixes some of the worst abuses that are happening at the state level, so that there is fewer cases of this happening, or at the very least, it becomes harder for them to do this to innocent parents. The third thing is continue building into a critical mass where we can actually get the federal fix of changing, either eliminating the federal funding of state CPS agencies, which isn't that likely, or which is much more likely, getting it put on something else that isn't a metric that encourages accusations of abuse or any other horrific outcome. Some more flat way of determining this, maybe based on population or something like that, where instead of like literally rewarding them for accusing people of abuse, that it's just some kind of flat funding or something. And then I guess the long-term goal here is to drive home that this is what it looks like when we don't demand that government respect us like individual people. This would not be happening if these officials looked at this child, this sometimes newborn baby. Most of the kids that are taken are like 2 years old or less, and a lot of them are like weeks or months old. Looking at this baby or this child with a health condition, and instead of saying, well, let's get, it's a good thing that we were able to find out what's wrong with this kid, let's get them the help they need, instead going, cha-ching, we're going to make so much money from this kid. That only happens when you look at that kid and see something other than a human being. You're looking at a human being, but you see this funding opportunity, or you see a political opportunity, or a metric that you need to meet, or an egg that you got to break to make an omelet, or whatever you tell yourself. If they are consistently looking at us and seeing people, they never do this stuff in the first place. And so that's the long-term goal, is to have us less in danger of our neighbors using proxy violence against us and everyone else, by them realizing that anytime you give government more power, this is what they do.
So, Spike, not to keep beating a dead horse, but is the way that things worked out, or the outcome in Georgia, like the best case scenario, or is that like an ideal? Do we have a blueprint now how to attack these situations? Or is that kind of like y'all got lucky that this lady reached out and was like, hey, how do we fix this? That was in Georgia, right? Is that the best case? Can we build off that moving out in all 50 states?
I think we certainly can build it out, at least to the worst states. There are some states that the problem isn't quite as bad there, and so we may not be able to build a critical mass there if we don't have a lot of cases to talk about that are recent. But I do think it's a very attainable thing. First of all, I believe God's on our side here. We've had a 100% success rate for the last 2 years. And I think you can have a good success rate on your own. I'm not sure you get a perfect success rate unless you're getting some kind of moving of the Holy Spirit there. That's my personal opinion. I have no definitive proof of that. That's just my take on this. Second of all, our method works in that we are focusing on the people that this is happening to. We don't come in, usually libertarians come in and we talk about ideas because that's how we talk about things. We start with the idea and then we'll eventually get to like how it affects people, usually hypothetically. We might give an example, but we start with the idea. We want people to understand the idea and the system and the principle behind it. Most people couldn't care less about that. Most people primarily think about people and they talk about other people. When we see a tragedy, we will have an emotional reaction to it. We'll go, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But like we very quickly move past that to like, okay, what caused this? And is there a way we can fix it? Most people, when they see a terrible thing happen, they go, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing ever. And then they look for a person to tell them what needs to be done. And the simpler, the better. Some of them are just looking for a person that they think they can trust, that tells them something that makes sense to them. Others are looking for a person they think they can trust that tells them this is popular. Everyone's doing this. This is what the consensus is. But they're looking for a person. And so we talk about ideas. Those demagogues talk about people. And so we often fail to get our ideas into the mainstream because we focus on the idea first. At You Are the Power, we focus on the people, first, second, and third. The people that have this happening to them, the people that are doing it to them, and the people that can help us, all the people at home watching this who can help us to get these officials to back off and do the right thing. Once we get them involved over and over again, then we start talking about the policy behind it. What caused this to happen? That leads to the legislative victories that we can start having. And then over time, we get into the principle behind why those policies failed everyone. That these policies basically empower the government to collectivize us and centrally plan things and use perverse metrics for perverse incentives that create perverse outcomes. So we build into that by starting first what people care about, which is other people. And we have the truth on our side. So if we start with the way that people like to connect with things, I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win in New Hampshire. I think we're going to win in Florida. I think we're going to win in West Virginia and Kentucky and other states where lawmakers have already reached out to us. And I think we're going to just keep plowing forward until we win on this across the country as we continue to work on other subjects as well.
All right. So, Mr. Cohen.
Yes.
Are dwarfs still on the table? I know I can't talk about midgets, but can I talk about dwarfs?
No, I apologize for using the M word with the hard T before. I meant dwarf.
So they're usually midges? Is that what we what's up, my midget? Like what are we
Marcus
I don't think anyone should say it as well. I don't care. I don't care what kind of rap you listen to.
I don't care.
I just skip that part.
All right, so do you find dwarfs a little bit creepy? Like I get creeped out. Like midgets, I find dwarfs throw me off a little bit.
Some of my best friends are dwarfs, and I'm going to give you an example of that. This is true. So that Cortland, New York situation I was telling you about, it was actually one of my dear. I don't know if he's technically a dwarf. Thomas Queter describes himself.
Oh no, he's not.
Well, no. So he described. No, hold on. He describes himself
self-described.
This is his. Now, I want to say, this is not me using the hard T word, okay? This is me giving space to a member of that community to use his word through me. So he describes himself as I think, weird giant midget, I think is the term he uses. I don't think he doesn't have dwarfism. He has osteogenesis imperfecta.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But he calls himself that. And
I'm gonna message him. I'm gonna find out about this. Listen, maybe we need to have him come on and defend this.
We do need him on, and
he said. I reached out to him. Queter.
He's open to it.
Are people saying Thomas's last name wrong?
Queter.
Queter.
Queer, yeah.
Anyway,
You guys sound like you're about to cuss right now when you're saying his
I call it. I always say quitter,
or,
but I grew up
or
before
talk
that.
about
only
the
one
tow
T.
truck driver. But you sound like you're about to talk about the tow truck driver from the Dukes of Hazzard. You're a cooter.
Oh no, I would never say that on this show. Not on this show. This is a Christian show.
I mean, that was his name. Why can't we say cooter?
I'm not going to say the C word with the hard R, but I will say that
all right, hang on. So if Tasha was a dwarf, would you have still married her?
I'm telling her that
you just get out of here. All right. That was a real question.
Let her know she's
Tubb
live
is,
right
She's gonna go in there and text her right now. I think Tubbs calling you a dwarf.
It is Tubbs couching it tonight.
I'm not answer that, and then I got real questions for you.
I listen. My wife. I don't care. I say this all the time. I don't see color. Okay. I don't see any color actually. All I see is shapes, and I like hers.
That's Eric doesn't see colors either, but that's real for him. That's real life.
I'm actually colorblind.
You actually
right, for real.
Color, yeah.
All right, so look, I have real questions besides the dwarfs. Although the dwarfs was a question, I want to make that very clear. Dwarfs
no, I'm glad you asked that.
Okay, so let me start. I'm going to hit you.
Hold on, wait. Before we get into it, Spike, how much time do you have?
He has until we let him go. He was late.
All right, go ahead, send it.
All right, so we'll get into the Jesus stuff after. All right, so all right, this is you or the power stuff.
Yes.
Now, here's what I need from you. Okay, I need brief answers. Just rattle off the answer. Okay, just give me an answer.
Okay.
Are you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what does the day-to-day actions of you or the power look like?
Finding people who are claiming that terrible things are being done to them by local and state government officials, vetting their causes to make sure that they are legit, that we're being told the truth, that there's something that's going to garner like sympathy on a scale. Like, it's not someone who, got hit with a speeding ticket, even though they didn't speed. Like, we need something we can build a movement around. And that there's something feasible we can do about it. Like, there's an actual call to action that we can give people. And if it meets that criteria, then we move forward with getting all the details, getting the, at that point we have all the details. We put together our social media, put it out to the public, create the page on our website where people can literally just click on the names of the official and it brings up the email with all the wording already put in there. And they just put their name at the end and press send. And we just rinse and repeat until the officials back off and do the right thing.
All right, and then I thought you were going to get close to answering this one when you're answering Eric. Are you finding that there are certain states that are worse than others?
I will say that I think we are too early in to be able to say that accurately, because it really we are growing so rapidly, and yet we're still so small and underrepresented in many areas. We've just kind of been organically growing as things have been popping up. And then what happens is when you have a cause in this area about this thing, typically most of the people who will respond are also in that area. You'll get people in other areas with similar things, but it's typically kind of centered in that area. So I ask me that again in another couple of years, and I'll probably be able to have more accurate data. We're growing very rapidly, but we're still a very small organization.
Do I have to keep talking to you for a couple of years? Is that what that was just saying?
No, you do. No. Actually, no. You can stop talking to me. And then in like August of 27, you'll be like, hey, remember that question I asked you?
Does he have to do it here? Does he have to come on the Black People and Tubb show?
I'm just going to stay on this, and you guys can come back.
August 27. Got it. All right.
Put it on the Google calendar right now.
It's on there. So I'm gonna make it as a reminder. I don't have to say anymore, and then I just have it automatically send out. And I want to. All right. So because it seems to be like you get a lot of stuff done in Georgia. So are you finding that maybe you can? Do you think it would be wise or even a possibility that you say, okay, Georgia, we're being effective in. Let's really kind of hit Georgia for a while and kind of get our bearings and how this is going to look, and that way there becomes easier to move to another state at that point. Or are you just open to wherever it comes from?
We are open to wherever it comes from, but we are remaining very agile in how our teams are being created. So very early on, I was like, we need regional reps in every single region, and we need state reps in every state, and we need to look at the biggest metro areas and have reps there as well as volunteers. And so we started doing that, and a lot of them didn't have anything to do yet because we were still very early on and no one really knew much about us, and we were, still getting kind of a trickle of information of causes coming in. And what's happening now is as that trickle is more and more looking like a fire hose of causes. And as we keep building out our team of people, our biggest actual labor that's being done is just vetting all the causes that are coming in. And we're finding over time that it's just, it started here and here and here, and on, this type of case and this type of case and this type of case. And it just keeps kind of expanding and building out to all different types of cases in all different areas. What we're doing is we're also remaining agile in our structure. So for example, we've introduced things like tiger teams that focus on specific tasks. We've actually split off our family reunification, all our CPS stuff, into its own kind of semi-autonomous organization called the Family Reunification Project. Within You Are the Power, but they do all that stuff while the rest of You Are the Power focuses on everything else. And we'll likely do that with other big causes as those kind of develop as well. So we're not limiting ourselves to a specific state or a specific region, but we're also not trying to let's make sure we're finding stuff everywhere. Right. We're letting it come as it comes. We're vetting it, and we're very much like water. We're just developing as the need develop, our supply for it develops.
Are you kind of finding your niche now? You're kind of finding, because it just seems like there's a lot of family reuniting stuff that you're doing. A lot of that we hear about seems to be that type of stuff. So, are you doing other things that maybe we don't hear about so much, about other types of cases?
Yeah, we do all sorts of things. So, we did the what I was just talking about in Cortland with the
midgets and wheelchairs.
Part of the issue, part of the issue is that those ones are a lot easier. So, within 48 hours of me putting that out, it was already dealt with. Within a few days of us talking about Rebecca Massey getting arrested for speaking at her city council and charged with a bunch of bogus charges, those charges were dropped. And within a week or so later, the mayor had resigned and the city attorney had resigned. And soon after, the chief of police resigned. And so often with those causes, they might get a lot of attention initially, but then they kind of we win quickly. When it comes to something like a state CPS agency, that's a lot more involved, and there's a lot more inertia behind what's happening. We're not just going after a few city council members. We're taking on a system that employs sometimes thousands of people, and so it's a little bit more of a churn. With that said, that's actually why we broke the Family Reunification Project into its own thing, because those causes, from when we find out about them to when we declare victory, including the family court stuff, the criminal court stuff, all everything costs about $25,000 per cause. That's still a bargain considering the fact that we're the only organization that's had any real movement on this ever. But compare it to our non-CPS causes, from soup to nuts, it's about $5,000. Again, also a bargain. It takes a few hours of vetting those causes and hundreds of hours to vet a CPS case, because we want to make sure these kids there's no shadow of a doubt that these kids aren't being abused. So all that to say, we are remaining agile in if where we're needed mostly is family reunification, that's what we will do. If there are these other needs as well, we will do those as well. Inevitably, right now, we're just at the beginning of what looks like it's going to turn into a nationwide movement of stopping or at least greatly reforming eminent domain at the state level. We started in Kentucky. We have some other possible cases in other states that we're still vetting. And as that happens, eminent domain is a multi-trillion-dollar cash grab for local and state governments. It's insane. After the Kelo decision in 2005, that will inevitably become its own thing. I believe. I think if it really takes off, it will necessarily become its own thing. So we're just remaining very agile. Okay, if this is where we're needed, we'll do that. If we're not needed so much here, we'll just keep an eye out if we have to be used for that. But the bottom line is this: if it falls within people having their lives and livelihoods upended by local, and now we used to just say just local, but local and state level government officials, and it's something, and we know it's true, and it's something that we can build a movement around, and it's something that has a feasible call to action that we can actually get real positive change here, we will do it.
All right, so two quick things. Hey, hang on. Listen, I sat here. I didn't say anything about midgets or midges. I didn't say nothing. So, all right. So, are you finding that you're starting to get recognized now? That the people that are starting to hear about, hey, you're the power trying to get involved, are they starting to go, whoa, all right, maybe we better rethink this because we don't really want them coming after us?
Yeah, we're getting some of that, and we're getting a lot of, even if they don't necessarily acknowledge that, we're finding that they very quickly email us back and go like, oh, no, this is a big misunderstanding. And so some of that might be just the success we're having on the social media front of like getting hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people to email them immediately, all saying the same thing. Some of it might be, I'm sure some of it's that, and I'm sure some of it is that they're like, oh, no, not you or the power. Or they see our social media and then they see the rest of our social media and how we keep winning and they're like, let's just back off. Like Cortland did not want this.
And then lastly, what about funding for y'all? How do you go about that?
If you go to youarethepower.net/donate, you can give us every penny you have.
Fair enough. Do you find that you're getting a lot of small donations? I know you have some big meetings sometimes with big people, but are you like, where are you getting a lot of funding from?
Yeah, so we, it's been a while since we broke down the average donation, but I doubt it's changed very much. I mean, we're getting people that give as much as 6 figures and as little as, $5 a month. Actually, we have one person that gives $1 a month, which after the fees, I think we're paying them. But I think we get like 39 cents or whatever it is. But like, and we appreciate that. If everyone that was following us gave us $1 a month, we'd be that much better off. I will say this: we've been very fortunate that our fundraising has almost kept up with our growth. Like we have been growing. We've been basically doubling and tripling every year by every available metric. The number of causes that we can take on, the number of victories that we're having, the speed at which we can declare victory on things, the scope of which we can declare victory. The idea of us passing legislation even a year ago would have been laughable. But so I think that, it has kept up, but the reality is as we keep rapidly expanding, our lagging indicator is always the funding. And that's true of any truly successful nonprofit.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is, we don't have a profit that we make. And so we can't tell people, hey, if you give us this much, you get that much back. If you give us money, you will get none of it back. But what you will get is some incredible, like you will actually get real results. We aren't just out here talking about liberty. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we are actually like achieving liberty. And the amazing thing is we're largely using normies to do it. Like we're putting out message that just gets the public.
I'm out.
Normies. We get the.
I like normies.
Normies. We can't say midgets, but we can still say normies.
The slurs against little people were no problem for him.
Yeah,
no, not at all.
His line was normal people.
Well, that's because he thinks of himself as a normal person, but we all know the truth.
I have a problem with him because he said he had 2 more issues and he expanded into 3, and I'm still trying to go back to what. Yeah, what?
He got
what
all
is,
his questions answered and he left.
Another reason why you should homeschool your children. He can't count. He went to public school.
I have a question for you for the black people and possibly Eric. You
hold on. I thought I was invited to the cookout. What's up?
Wait.
Well, yeah, you're the
Eric's wife is 1/1024th.
1.9%. I don't know what that comes out to.
1.9%
Sub-Saharan African. Right. Okay.
Like the Nile River African, which is
I haven't even looked at the map.
A very nice African.
Yeah.
I would.
Have you seen my wife? The mother of my child. Come on, he had.
Wow!
I have a black grandson. Here comes the guy that says I have a black grandson. He's playing.
Hey, buddy, your grandson to play the card.
Listen, what we talking about? My midget.
Wow.
Yeah, but earlier, Spike, you said soup to nuts, and that's the question I had for the black people. What the hell does that mean?
Hey, Marcus, don't interrupt Tubbs' grandson. What was that?
Oh, my bad.
See you right there.
Messiah, do you have a question? You do to me. Okay.
What's up, brother?
What are you doing?
What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I honestly don't know what I'm doing. What are you doing?
Say bye.
What did he say?
Did you ask if I was black?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
there you
see
go.
it.
It sounded like he asked if I was black.
I think he said, "Is I heard this is the black people show."
Yeah.
And so he showed up.
Black people. He said,
Well,
are you
Spike is light
Wait,
skinned
who
in it.
is the black person on this show?
Yeah,
Okay.
Spike, you're light skinned in it, right?
Light skinned it.
Are you black? That's great.
I'm paper sack brown. That's what I go by.
Did you make him come in here and ask us if we're
No,
black,
he was
Tub?
he was out there. He was out there banging around. I'm like, I was trying to find out what was going on, and he just wanted. He wanted to come in and
know
see,
if we were black.
he wanted to come in and see what I was doing. Is what it
Well,
was.
he came in and said, "Are you black?" And I like that because he's like, "Okay, this is called the Black People
He's
in
like, wait a
Tub
minute.
show." I got Tub
Like
right
that
here.
dude's
behind
not
me.
black, and
Well,
that dude's not black, and I'm not sure that dark guy is
which
black.
one of you is black?
We was waiting on him to show up, so we had the black people show.
Yeah, we got all covered. I'll let him just sit in my
it
spot and I'll
was very
speak.
briefly the Black People in Tub show. That's great.
Why
where are we at?
Why did the crack comment come to me? That's what I want to
Crack?
know.
That's
Yeah.
racism.
Crack?
That's racism.
It's all good.
Why would the black person ask that?
Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
I'm sure crack's probably enjoyable to crackheads. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, how much time we have left, and what are we getting into?
Well,
I want to.
Tub, elephant in the room, Pastor Tub,
Yeah, there we go.
fellow Christian Pastor Tub, and
Yes.
Spike. What's up?
Okay.
I like that you asked
all
what
right,
we're getting into 56 minutes into the show.
Well, okay. What are we gonna do now?
So what are we gonna do?
Spike, I
well,
asked
hang
how
on,
much
hang on,
time
let's
you
be very
got.
clear,
'Cause I
Spike.
saw-
We are 56 minutes into the show. You are not. All right, let's
I'm
be
like
very
42
clear.
minutes into the show,
No, listen.
right?
That's about
All
right,
right,
actually.
Let me
That's
tell you.
what I was
Watch
gonna
this. Let me tell you my concern. All right, watch this. And here's why I'm going to. If we talk about Jesus stuff, I'm going to refrain a little bit for a reason, though. Okay, because
Well-
I believe in true Jesus, not what Spike has going on.
I know.
So it's.
What's wrong with
But-
my Jesus and
but-
your Jesus?
All right. No,
I
I
got
think you're still with us.
I got in 7
Hold on.
minutes when the show started.
Is that what you were
No.
just doing? You were checking
Yeah.
to see? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
Tub,
now,
49 minutes.
Before we start talking about Jesus, can I go start the smoke machine and the laser light show behind me? I know you're a fan of that stuff.
what do you got?
Please.
I'm just kidding. No,
Damn
Oh,
it.
I thought you had something. Oh.
No, I got. nothing.
I was
I got
looking
nothing.
forward to that.
I
I
was
want
like, this would be pretty cool.
No, exactly. We're talking about
Yeah.
Jesus.
Spike can do
Get a
stuff.
show.
Spike, change your background.
Hold on.
Well, so Tub,
I-
I
we-
really think Marcus, not interrupt, but the story of why you should be involved with Spike telling the story is pretty cool. I'm sad that Tub gets to be a part of it. That's all.
I'm sad
So
about
am
that.
I sometimes. So am I.
And I will only lead into the Jesus segment with one.
You have no say in this one. You are out.
Marcus pulled out his.
Don't tell us about
cross
your dad being a
necklace.
deacon.
Jesus was black. Okay, go
No,
ahead.
he was not
Yes,
black.
He was
Listen,
black. Go ahead.
Hey,
your
No,
father, the deacon, would not approve of that statement.
Marcus, can we concede
Peter
that
Brown,
he just
terrible.
Marcus, can we concede that he just wasn't white? I'll concede that.
He's olive skinned.
He was of the House of Solomon, and what is the first verse?
You've watched too many movies.
Seventh. Solomon says,
You
"I am
just
black."
stop. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're fumbling all around.
Solomon
You don't even know what to
said
say.
The black Israelite told me that.
Solomon. No, you're out.
Blah blah
In
blah.
fact, you know what? You just go to the bathroom or something. Go into the main house. Get out of the garage.
Marcus,
Go in the house.
mute your mic.
I'm leaving my own podcast.
No, okay. Now let me be honest. There we
There
go.
you go.
There it is. Hey, is that from your church? Because you have that kind of church.
Hey, Tub,
So-
you have a problem with that kind of church?
I have a problem with Spike in that kind of church. All right. Now let me be honest with you. Okay. Now let me be honest for a minute. Okay. So if we come to this portion of the conversation briefly, I have to remain pastoral. Okay. And let me explain
Now,
why.
Starting now. Before now, it was fun.
Yeah. Before. No. Here's why. Now, Spike will tell you. Spike and I talk quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so actually not so much in the past week and a half, 2 weeks or so.
No, I literally have barely talked with anyone. I've been running around like a crazy person. But you would be proud to know that no matter where I am, I go to church on Sunday.
That's dang right. So here's what I'm getting at. So I always have to I had to be cautious because we have had a number of conversations, and I assume everything is private.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say nothing in this until you say something. Fair
Okay.
enough? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead, Eric.
Well,
So you're
Spike,
you're actually going to say nothing. Okay.
You're welcome.
The most,
Except for
I'll
Midget.
say this: did they let you keep the space laser button?
Yes. So I have it here. It is still mine. I would advise everyone to paint their roofs blue, just to be safe. It is. I'm getting it rebranded, but it is no longer. It's hot for some reason, and that concerns me. But it like
Might wanna
literally
get
is
rid
hot
of
right now.
that.
Oh, it's the fan blowing on the thing. But it's no longer Jewish. I haven't marketed it yet, but I am going to be changing it. It's going to be called Deuce Volt, and or the Volt of God, and so we're gonna add a little, probably a little cross here instead of a Star of David, and we're gonna it's instead of Jewish, just say Deuce Volt right there.
Gotcha. All right.
So I do still
I
have
got
it.
Tub. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do what?
Tub, this might take a little bit of like
Jesus is black. Look at
him
my
a
cross.
question, and if he's comfortable talking about it or not. I don't know. So basically, Spike, you used to be Jewish. Now you're a Christian. What's up with that?
He's
What's up
both.
with that?
I was. I am offended by this gotcha question. No, I was raised to believe that I was a Messianic Jew. And we had our service. It was actually a home church. We had our services on Friday nights, and we would do things on Shabbat, not on the Lord's Day. We would still celebrate Christmas and what we would call Resurrection Sunday, not Easter. But we would not. But we'd also celebrate Pesach or Passover, which is around the same time. And we would celebrate. Shabbat, and we'd celebrate Hanukkah. And so forth. I found out more recently once I kind of we know you're not racist, okay? We get it.
Yeah, you don't have to be proven it.
I like him way more than y'all.
We get it. But so when I turned my life to Jesus and I started really, and I initially said, yeah, I'm a Messianic Jew, and a lot of people were like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, I am. And they're like, no, you're not. And so I looked it up and it was like, yeah, no, they're right. I'm not. So a Messianic Jew is a believer in Jesus who still keeps the Torah law. I don't do that. Then I never did. So we were like Jew-scented, non-denominational Christians.
Jew-scented, spray-on type thing?
Yeah.
Is that olive oil or hummus?
So, let me get my Jew scent on.
Yeah, I gotta make. You do it on the hot points, and people can tell you're Jewish.
Were y'all just holding on to like the Jewish identity or the cultural part of being Jewish, but you were believers in Christ?
Yeah, basically, yeah. We focused on, because my dad was.
That's how you were raised, but you weren't like. There was a break in between like how you were raised and then like becoming a Christian, or.
Oh yeah, so I like, as soon as I wasn't like a young child, I basically didn't believe, like, or I always had doubts, and by the time I was even like a young, like early preteen, I when you're a little kid, your parents tell you things and you believe it because they're your parents and you love them and you trust them. And then as I got older and started asking questions and wasn't really getting the best answers, and I was just kind of told, well, you have to believe it, and it's like, okay, but I have questions. Like, no questions, believe. Okay, and so I just didn't really believe. And I still kind of like, I would, sometimes go to my mom's church. I wasn't really hostile to the faith. And I think I always believed there was a creator of some kind. Like the idea of everything coming from nothing just didn't make sense to me. But I didn't really have I had no belief in the Bible. Nor had I really read it, which is kind of, in retrospect, pretty funny that I didn't believe in something I hadn't really ever read. And, kind of funny there, but I even found a Christian wife. I met my wife on a Christian dating website. I wanted to make sure I had a nice Christian wife, and we got married at a Christian church. Like it's funny in retrospect, God was very much setting me up for this. Like he was like, okay, yeah, fine, you're an agnostic. We're gonna protect you and get you along. And so I never really actually believed until I took the step of faith. And I actually talked with Tub about this, and I took the step of faith November 20th of last year, which turned out to be 50 years to the day that my dad did the same thing, which is pretty cool. And so it was as I started like really learning about this stuff that I started learning that not only was I not religiously Jewish in any way, and that I was in fact just a Christian, but then I started learning a lot about like the fact that modern rabbinical Judaism is, they had to, because the temple was destroyed, and that means you can't really practice Judaism as defined in Tanakh. They started expanding on the Talmud to basically explain how to be Jewish when you can't, when you can no longer do the animal sacrifices and things like that. And so they started introducing all these different ideas, and it was
And
more
prayers.
like,
So
yeah,
start
you can do it off of prayer.
compromising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they'll use the same verses that we do, where it's like, well, God doesn't want a burned ram. He wants he doesn't want a burned flesh. He wants a contrite heart. Yes. And the sacrifice. And only Christians complete this because we had the sacrifice. We had the final sacrifice, the one lamb the only lamb that could atone for all of our sins forever. And
Even you, Marcus. Even
Can I-
Marcus, everyone.
I
But
just
so,
wanna-
and so in Judaism, they had to kind of go, well, no, but actually it turns out he never needed that. And so we only ever had to pray. And it's like, then why was it so important to have the sacrifice? Why was that like a crucial thing? Why was one of the first stories in the Bible about how someone's sacrifice wasn't pleasing to God? And so instead of doing it in a way that was pleasing to God, he killed his brother. Like, why was every single aspect of this very clearly built around the necessity of both a contrite heart, a repentant heart, and the loss of life to atone for your sin? And Christians have that answer. Jews do not. And so, and about half my family is Jewish. I love them very much. I hope that they come to see that Jesus is Messiah. So this isn't about hating or anything else, but it was in that I'm like, ethnically, I'm half Ashkenazi Jew. I am proud of my, I should say I'm proud. I respect my heritage. I respect where I come from, and I respect what Jewish people have been through and how they've been able to thrive despite that, and all those things. But I am not Jewish. I'm a Christian, and I could go further down that rabbit hole. But
are there certain things of your Jewish background that you're struggling to shred off?
Not really, because I wasn't. I like if
no things hanging up in your house or anything like that.
Oh, so like we still have the mezuzahs hanging up.
Uh-huh.
What are mezuzahs?
So a mezuzah is a mezuzah when in a Jewish home, when a Jew moves into a home or has it built, they put up a thing at the doorpost called a mezuzah, and it has the scripture. Tub, you might have to help me here.
Yeah, it's only select verses, isn't it? It is.
It's a very short verse that says keep the name of the Lord in your heart and fasten it to your lamppost or to your doorpost or something like that. And so it has that verse, which is in our Old Testament, like, and it's just there, and it gets blessed by a rabbi. And so, the way I look at
they
that,
have a lot of rules regarding those.
Well,
there are rules for how it's put up, but the way I look at it now is it's already up there. It has something from our Bible in it, and I don't particularly see that as an issue.
I want to know. Does Tub think the mezuzah is going to keep Spike from going to heaven?
No, mezuzah was
it is.
It was in a George Clinton song when he said mezuzah. That's how I know that.
Do you think it's got something to do?
This is Marcus's part in this conversation.
Oh yeah.
He was getting involved.
I just want to point out one thing.
Look, this is serious though. Tub,
yeah, this is serious.
It's no, George Clinton ain't serious, but Spike's goal is Tub. Do you think that it's bordering on idolatry? Is that what you're getting at? You're beating around the bush with these questions.
I would
This
say
is controversial. I'm sorry, but is that what you're trying to say here?
I would say that the way that they might do it, yes, but that's not the way Spike does.
Okay.
Listen. I don't like to cover and say that Spike might be doing something right, and I think I can safely say that he doesn't see it that way. I think it's more out of tradition, routine, and they just like they have nothing else to take off and put his place in the house.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So here's actually how I looked at it. Moving into a new house, I wouldn't put one up. Like it wouldn't be there. It's already there. It's not even so. Jews are supposed to do a thing where they take it and put it to their mouth, and it's like a ritualistic thing of whatever. I don't do that. I did it briefly growing up, even though I didn't believe in God. It was just like I just did it because it was like, well, that's a thing we do or whatever. But I don't do that anymore.
How many doors do you have it on?
Too many.
Because technically, you're supposed to have it on everything but a closet and the bathroom, correct?
Not quite. We had. So what's happened is over time we've collected them, and so they're all over the place.
Just everywhere. They're just all right here.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but like
you got a mezuzah wall.
Yeah, no, not quite, but yeah. So I wouldn't put it up in a new home. It's already there. If I feel convicted by the Holy Spirit about it, I would definitely take it down. But I think it's a thing that is there. In and of itself, it is just a box that has a part of the Old Testament in it. Taken literally, it says put it on your lamppost or your doorpost, and there it is. So
would you consider auctioning it off and tithing or gifting 100% to the church?
Oh, if I were going to get rid of it, I'd do something like that. I wouldn't just throw it away. Yeah. So I mean, it's and as I've gone along, I've kind of found I wouldn't. So, well, for example, I don't think I'll be celebrating Hanukkah anymore, not because I think there's anything necessarily wrong with celebrating it, but it turns out they made it up afterwards. So the Maccabee story, that part is true, or at least we have reason to believe it's true. The first, second, and third Maccabees, it talks about the story of everything. But it turns out two things. First of all, that story of the 8 the 8 days of that they had only 1 day's worth of oil and it burned for 8 days, that's not in the book of Maccabees. And it's definitely not in the Bible. That was written in the Talmud, like, I don't know, the 7th or 8th century or something like that. So, and there's no reason to believe that was actually a part of the original thing that happened. So that's the reason we light the candles, is to commemorate a thing that we know didn't happen. I didn't know that. I just found that out recently. The other reason is, go ahead.
Can I tell you the best time to bring that up right there is when you're sitting at dinner and you're just trying to enjoy some dinner with friends, and the restaurant's probably trying to close, and Spike decides to go off on a tangent about that right there.
There are all sorts of great times to bring it up.
I just want to say this will be the first time the show gets stricken for anti-Semitism. Thanks, Spike.
Well,
the former Jew is that. So in the when you light the candles, you say the bracha tad and Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahad netshir shel Chanukah Amen, which means blessed art you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and has commanded us to kindle the Hanukkah lights. He never commanded us to do that. It's nowhere in the Bible. It's not even anywhere in the Talmud. And so when I asked a rabbi, okay, why do we say, hey, God, thanks for telling us to do this? He said, well, in Deuteronomy 17, it says that when the when the teachers make a decision on something, that you follow it. I'm praying to God. God never said this.
What has been your biggest struggle on this side of the cross, on this side of Christianity?
Besides believing that that God would actually forgive someone like me, and I would say trying to understand the tension between we are saved by grace as a gift of grace through our faith, not by any works that we do. You still got to do works. And as I've best understood it, the works are evidence of your saving faith.
It's works because I'm saved, not to be saved.
Yes, it's works because I'm saved. And so what it comes from is, because initially it was like, man, I got to start doing better so I go to heaven. And it was like, no, that's not it. And but even when I knew that wasn't the case, I would often, and I still struggle with it, find myself going, well, wait a second. I'm not doing this so I go to heaven. I'm doing this out of the overflow of gratitude that I have for God for saving me with no preconditions, only my faith towards him, and that this is evidence of that saving faith. I also deal with like the tension between the fact that God has preordained everything eternally before he created the universe, but the fact that I'm still out here having to make choices, it's like, but he already preordained it. But how I best understand that is, yeah, he preordained it, but I don't know what he decided. So my choice is something he already knew was going to happen eternally before, but I still have to do it. And it's actually been reading the Bible that's helped with that, because the Bible's constantly, it tells us God already has decided everything, but then it's constantly telling us what to do and what not to do. So clearly it's important what our actual choices are, even though they were already preordained by God.
I think we have to be cautious with that. I think the best way to see is a predestination versus foreknowledge. So, like we've had this talk, and I believe that God knows all the things, but it doesn't mean that he's forcing you to do the thing. Like, for example, I've often said that. So back in the day, when we used to watch American Idol, and so they'd have Monday nights, they'd do the performing, and on Wednesday nights they'd kick people off. And so we'd be at church on Wednesday nights. And so Melissa would always kind of DVR it. And so what would happen is she would, maybe on the way home, she'd hear about somebody getting kicked off. Okay. And she knew it was happening, but she didn't force it to happen.
Right.
And so I always kind of tell people, they go like, oh, that kind of makes sense. So, because listen, I'm a free will guy. We've had this conversation many times. I'm a free will guy. You know what? Let me ask you this question. I think Eric died on us, so we're good.
No, he'll be back. He'll be back.
Let me ask you this real quick, because we're not going to keep you too long. How has, and here's what's funny, because like, whenever we talk now, we tend to never talk about libertarianism. Like we just
basically never. Yeah.
So how has the liberty community been with you since you converted to Christianity, since you saw the light and you came to Jesus?
Yeah, pretty overwhelmingly good. And I mean, yeah, there are still the people like, oh, you got your Sky Daddy now, like, but you're gonna get that in any community, right? Like, you're just gonna get the people that not only don't believe, but like they're like evangelical atheists or something. Like, they want to make sure that you know how dumb it is to believe in something bigger than yourself. And so I knew that would happen, but you read in the Bible where it says, take delight in your sufferings, because it's God has seen you fit to suffer for his name. And I'm thinking, like, my suffering is that I have a handful of people that, say snarky things to me or tell me I'm unfollowing you because you keep talking about this. But like, yeah, overall, overwhelmingly, it's either been people saying, I've had a lot of people that have said that they've been praying for me ever since they first heard of me in 2020, and that, they always loved everything I was doing and they were hoping that I would come to Jesus. I've had people tell me that they've gone back to church or have, kind of given their life back to God or recommitted their life to Jesus based on the things that, that I kind of helped inspire them to do that, or it helped kind of nudge them along that way. I've had all sorts of incredible stuff like that. I've also had a lot of people who go, I don't believe that, but it looks like you're really finding fulfillment and happiness in it. And I'm glad for you. Like, so I've even gotten non-believers saying that they're happy for me. So, I mean, overwhelmingly, it's been positive. I don't know if over time, as I talk more and more about doctrinal things, which I've been very hesitant to do, because A, I still am very early on in learning, and B, when I read that if you become a teacher, that you are judged way more harshly, I'm not sure I want that. I think I might just always not be a teacher and just avoid that entirely. So between that, I don't really get into that stuff, but maybe as I start getting more talking into like specific doctrinal things, then people might be, start talking about sin, and it offends people.
Well, yeah. I think I have to ask this for a lot of people right now. And this is you've said some very profound things, Spike. And I want to ask this one question. Why Tub? Why did you go that?
Just Melissa that question, not him.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
why,
I mean,
why
I-
are you gonna?
Actually, that's a good.
Why-
If you're talking about Christianity,
Why are
that's
you gonna
God. Why
platform
Tub?
Tub?
no, I mean, because
Actually, that's a good question to ask the Holy Spirit.
Tub
Well,
has
and-
spoken
but
very
Tub-
highly of. Yeah, he's spoken very highly
Everything
of
Tubbs
you,
told
and,
us is basically, and I'm going to summarize here. These aren't Tubbs' words, but you wouldn't be a Christian if it wasn't for him.
Well, I wouldn't be a
you
Christian
owe
if it
two
wasn't for
people
God,
on this
but
podcast
no,
your
here's
destiny.
I initially it was Tubb and one or two other people that I talked with in earnest, and I would say of them, Tubb was definitely the one that I got the most in the weeds about, like specific doctrinal stuff, and still often do so. In many ways, he has been my pastor, and I would say one of the first reasons I picked him was because
I was chosen.
He was libertarian.
Well, yeah,
Hold on.
because God
Quiet,
picked
Tubbs.
him.
Because
No,
you met
I
him
would
at
say-
the
Hold on.
Libertarian
Did
Party
God
of
force you to
Florida.
pick me, or did you pick me yourself? Which one was it?
Look,
No, well, from my perspective, I made a free will choice to do so,
Got
but
it.
it was
There we
already
go.
predestined
Spike.
eternally before the universe was created.
would
But
you
so-
say
no,
it was divine intervention that I forced Tubb to come to the Libertarian Party of Florida convention that he wasn't going to go to? Was that
everything
divine
that happens
intervention?
is preordained? So yes,
Eric
I-
wants
I
Eric wants
think
the credit in this one. That's
So-
what he's
All
getting
right,
at.
so really,
so.
you
but-
shouldn't thank Tubb. You should thank me.
Thank
I
Eric.
appreciate it.
Sure, yes.
Okay.
In a roundabout way, this is all Eric.
It's all about
but,
Eric, yes.
So what I would say is part of why I kind of went to Tubb and started asking him this stuff first is because I have this ability to get people to become impressed with me, and I didn't want that. And Tubb is not remotely impressed by me. And
Not-
so I
not
wanted, I knew if because I see it happen when I go to a church and I start getting involved and they're all like, oh, like, and I'm a good marketer. And it actually, so I've learned the shadow of that is some of the most sinful parts of me. My love for self-promotion, my love for that ego stroke that comes with people telling me how great I am and all that. Like, I've learned that that's actually a part of me I have to be very careful about. And so even before I realized it that deeply, I still understood that if I was going to really have the kind of conversations I need to have about faith and at that point, my lack thereof, I needed to have it with someone that wasn't remotely impressed by me, who was just going to, give me the straight dope and wasn't going to like play around with me on this.
It was more like the dope giving it to him straight is what it was.
You said it that way. But so that's actually why I kind of gravitated towards asking Tubb these things. And also because he was like willing to really go into stuff really a lot deeper than I think a lot of there's a lot of pastors out there that
Sugarcoat it.
well, sugarcoat, but
it's
also
self.
like
They're there for
you'll
self.
start asking them about passages and they kind of look at you like, yeah, I haven't read that since seminary. And so it I would ask Tubb things and he had some pretty immediate and comprehensive answers to it. And I was like, okay, this is definitely who I need to have this journey of conversations with, along with one or two other friends that I would talk with.
There were a number of conversations where we would speak around Spike. I would talk just to Tasha about Jesus stuff. Like and like I remember one day you were down here and we were at lunch and we were talking and I think that's the day when I told you, I said, Spike, I love you, but I'm not impressed by you. And this is when you were still just kind of, you don't really care. In fact, you know what it was? So remember, so I basically spent that time dogging you out in front of you to your wife about how you just need Jesus. And then it was when you left that day that wasn't it a street preacher that was out there?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Let me tell that story. So
Okay.
this was actually almost to the day a year. This was when we had been in Florida on vacation for like the month, and on the way coming home, we stopped in Jacksonville and had a quick lunch with Tubb and his wife, and we were talking, and I had already kind of begun to start talking this stuff with you, but yeah, you mostly focused on talking through me to my wife, to Tasha, about the stuff. And we had a pretty good conversation about that. And then while I was still in Jacksonville, I was, and I think I'd taken Tasha to the zoo or something like that. And I was coming back to pick her up, or I was leaving from that. Or anyway, I was on like a bridge overpass, and I was sitting at this like very long light, and I was kind of sitting there, kind of like thinking over all the stuff that I've been talking with Tubb about when we got together for lunch. And I'm thinking, and I just kept going back to like, all right, well, so many of these things make sense or make more sense, but like, why doesn't God just reveal himself to me? Like, okay, great. He's the, eternal creator, but why he's got all this power. Why isn't he just revealing himself to me in this moment? And as I'm kind of grappling with this in my head, as that's happening, this street preacher comes up, and he was just out of my field of vision. So he was like right behind the car, but I could see him like in my rear view. So I saw when he was coming, and he was setting up his little, like, a sign and stuff. And he stood up on something, like, I don't know if it was a box or a
midget.
And he got up. This is a nice story, Tub. Come on. And he got up on the stool, or whatever he was getting on. And either, I don't know if he had a
bullhorn,
a loud bullhorn, or like a portable speaker thing with a mic, but he was speaking into something, and he starts giving the most, I would say, non-energetic street preaching session I've never heard. Like, it was like he was there so he wouldn't get fined, and he's
barely
like,
got your attention.
And so he's like, yeah, folks, I'm just here to tell you, Jesus loves you, cares about you, and he hopes you turn to him and give your life to him. And the thing is, we're all gonna die at some point. It's unavoidable. And the thing is, we're not just gonna die. We're gonna go somewhere, and it's gonna be for eternity. And eternity is forever. Eternity, we can't even think of how long eternity is. And you got to decide, where do you want to go? And there's only one way to go to heaven. And he's saying this stuff, and it was nothing I'd never heard before. But here I am sitting there going, why doesn't God reveal himself to me? And here is
how about that guy?
That happens.
Hey, buddy.
Okay, watch this.
Bullhorn and goes, Jesus loves you. Turn to him. And more recent, and so that was one of the first, among the first times where I kind of almost looked up and was like, okay, that feels like a wink from God of some kind.
But were you like, all right, give me another one, and I'll know it's real.
Okay, one more. And so if another preacher comes from this, but then I realized something more recently, like maybe a couple years ago, he wasn't coming out there like, give your life to Jesus. People are out crying, getting out of their cars, crying, and, doing an altar call by the curb there. He was like, almost felt like he didn't want to be there. Like, it was just like kind of phoning it in. And I thought, and I'm now making this part up, but it's like, what if he was at home? Like, I don't want to go. It's hot out. It's August.
God's like, you got to.
And he just felt, or maybe he hadn't done it in a long time. Maybe he'd never done it before. Maybe it was like, it was always something that or whatever it was, he just did it. He felt that pull to do it. And it turns out that was one of the many things that led me to go, yeah, there's more to, I'm hearing, if this is coming from a God, I'm hearing it, God. Like, that was one of those times. And so, when I realized that part, or when I realized that whatever it was, he didn't seem all that impressed to be there. I'm like, he got dragged there. Like he like kind of went there because of like, all right, we're going to do that. And that makes it more powerful, because it's like, no, this guy needs to know, someone there, possibly other people as well, that got saved in that moment. They need to hear that Jesus loves them now. So go there.
And if I could add something, that maybe his saying that is not even just about somebody getting saved, but somebody who's already a Christian who just needs that reminder sometimes.
That too.
Because I think that what we do is we hear those messages like that, and like Christians will go, yeah, that was great back then. No, that message holds true today. Yeah. That holds true for Christians, because we have those times where, listen, even as a Christian, I'm comfortable in my walk and the things, but there's times where you doubt something. Where you still kind of go like, yeah, and then you kind of get that reminder, yeah, but God proved this. But you have those times, and you'll get into those spiritual lulls sometimes. And that you need to hear something. Like, sometimes the Christians need to be reminded of what you just said, and it's not just for the person who doesn't know God. It's for the ones who do sometimes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, that guy went out, and so many times that's what's going to happen. Be obedient to your calling. Be obedient to whatever God is calling you to do, because you never know. Like, you never know. Like that guy will never know that he affected you that day.
Probably not. Yeah. Almost certainly will never know. Yeah.
And that's why we remain obedient. That's
Do you
why. Now, the only
remember-
thing I would like better was his attitude to be a little more like, "Hey, I want to do this." But other than that,
No, but honestly, it was after the fact that I'm like, that actually, to me anyway, it made it when I went back realizing it, I'm like, that almost made it more powerful because it's like, he's like, all right, fine. And it's like, it wasn't just he was out there excited to tell people. It's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. That feels even more like God's like, go there and tell this guy that I love him. And I mean, it's pretty cool.
That could be simply that guy's less not comfortable with public speaking, but he has something on his heart, and he's like, I have to do it, but I'm not great at it, but I'm being told to do it, so I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean?
I feel compelled to do it. Yeah.
You know.
All right. So I'm gonna
say, Spike, real quick. Whenever this originally came out on social media, I said, "Thank God for that street preacher. I'm sorry you had to meet Tub."
I
so
concur.
So many ways.
You did say that. That's true. You did say that.
Tub, do you have as we start wrapping this up, you have a wrap-up question for Spike here?
Spike, I'm going to take you at your word, and I will talk to you in 2 years.
Okay.
I will send you that message and see how things are going.
Okay. No, I look forward to that.
Eric?
Spike, I have a 2-part question. My brother, if he's still doing it, does a Bible study on Thursdays, but before this podcast. If you might be interested, could I get your information later? Don't worry about it. Just let me know if you're ever interested. You could pop in. And also, testimony really is what I'm looking for there. Thanks. Appreciate it. That's the word. And only because I saw it on the comments, any political aspirations for 2028?
So first of all, yes, I'd like to at least pop in. And if he wants me to give a testimony, it'd be fine. I'd be happy to pop in. The one thing I will say is I can't commit on going to any, but I'm already participating in multiple Bible studies. I'm on like a crash course of like learning as much Bible as I possibly can. And I don't want to commit to something that I'm not.
You don't want to commit to having to read scripture and then have to talk about it. So I understand. You're already doing that. A lot of Christians already feel that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. So
I get it.
Yeah. No. I'd love that. And my aspirations right now are first and foremost to witness to Christ as best I can, and I believe that at least for now, the primary way that God has me doing that is through the work that I do with You Are the Power. And so I'm going to continue doing that and continue expanding that. And just like, interestingly enough, my narrative through this whole thing has been like, all right, let me try this. This opportunity presents itself. Let me try this. And that has led me fairly well. And so if in the future, it looks like the best way for me to continue doing the overarching goal of witnessing would be to run for office. Can't imagine how or why that would be. But if that turns out to be the case, I'll never say never to that. I don't see it happening, and I kind of hope not. But
don't say it that way. Don't say it that way. Don't say it that way.
I know.
There it is. Right there.
I know. But so we'll see. And if it's to continue expanding on what we're doing at You With the Power, happy to do that. And if it turns out I'm called to something entirely different, then I'll do that. But I have so far just opening myself up to, experiences as they present themselves now with, measuring it against scripture and does this hold up to, is there anything here that scripture is saying I should avoid? And if not, then, then I lean into it and see what happens there. So probably not, but who knows?
Okay. So in my closing comments, I'm going to take this time to summarize Spike Cohen. I feel like I've gotten to this point. And I want to start off by saying Spike Cohen and I go back 10 plus years. And then when I endorsed Spike for vice president with Vermin Supreme, he blew up. Then I had Eric Parker on the podcast, and he impressed me. And I wanted him to be a co-host on this podcast. Eric Parker reached out to Tubb, and Tubb showed up to that convention and was able to bring Spike Cohen into the fold with Christ.
Yeah.
So if you look at these people that host this podcast with Spike Cohen,
we are responsible for who you are.
It's all you.
This is
you're pulling the strings.
the pillar system. And usually I like taking credit for Spike Cohen all by myself. But being that I live in the fourth largest economy in the world and the son of a deacon of a medium,
and the son of a deacon, yes.
Hey,
okay.
Can we give all credit to God?
Can I wrap this up, Eric? Can I bring this to fruition? That's what I'm trying to do.
Yes, please.
I believe in providence, and
Rhode Island.
Aside,
I was gonna say the capital of Rhode Island. So I believe in that too.
Yeah, you're from Connecticut, though, aren't you?
I am.
It's just as
you know they're right by each other. They're right there.
Yeah, they both suck. But I want to.
Just come from California.
He could see Rhode Island from his house.
Yeah, easily. I come from California, where the average daily temperature is 78 degrees where I live. Nobody else can.
Economy.
Fourth largest economy. Plus,
son of a deacon.
Yeah, I'm son of a deacon. So,
and the only true libertarian.
The only real libertarian. And with that being said, live
for your. No.
Can you stop?
Can you hurry up?
Yeah, I'm trying to. You keep interrupting me, and we could have wrapped this up like 45 seconds ago.
Marcus,
both
that's not very
Saharan and sub-Saharan African.
Yes, but Spike Cohen, I don't say this lightly. You've become an iconic figure in this decade, and if we were to pass the baton from Ron Paul, I don't know who else to give it to. You know, you could say Justin Amos, but as far as doing stuff for society, as far as you are the power, we need to put that up right here. As far as you are the power, you're not doing this for the fortune and the fame, because there's no fortune and fame in doing the right thing. And that's what we could say about this country. You're doing this because there's something bigger than all of us that led you to this moment in your life that is making you, it is making you, I will say that affirmatively, it's making you step up to that altar and bring people into the fold. So you can say you're a libertarian, Rabbi, to that extent, if we're going to use that term.
I like that.
Yeah.
But I hope to never call myself that.
But you know, with Tubb and Eric, when I had them on, it was like before we finished the episode, I knew immediately that there was something different. I knew that I had to reach out to these people because, you know, like I said, I believe in providence and I believe in the higher power. I'm not so much religious. I believe more in spirituality than religion myself.
That will still send you to hell.
Well, that may be, but I always want to do. I always want to do good.
Work on that. All right.
I will always try to do good by my fellow men, and that's what I believe, and that's where.
Trump
I mean, don't you eventually get used to it though? Because I mean, it's like if we got in a hot.
You should probably spend a little more time reading the word. You realize no, it never becomes okay.
Okay, and Pastor Tubb has spoken in that regard, but I want to point everybody to this website, youarethepower.net. See what Spike is doing. See what the Word of God has delivered him to, because that's what it is. And Spike, we'll leave the closing words to you.
You basically said it there. If you go to youarethepower.net, you can join the fastest growing movement in the liberty movement. If you have any questions about faith, you should contact Tubb Rohrbaugh anytime of night.
Anytime. We'll post his phone number here.
Why don't you put my phone number out there real quick?
Put my phone number in the live stream there, the live chat, and just call him. Just call him. And no, I will tell you this. I was the ultimate skeptic. I still naturally am a proof-seeking person. I was able to find enough evidence of God and of Jesus to be willing to take a leap of faith. And after I read the story of the Father in Mark 9:24, who has Jesus in front of him and has heard of all of his great, all of his great miracles he's been doing and all the miracles that his apostles were doing in his name. But because the apostles weren't specifically able to help his son, he still had a little bit of doubt about this thing. And so to Jesus, he says, I believe, but can you help my unbelief? And Jesus goes, yes, and delivers his son of what he was being afflicted with. And my takeaway from that is, don't wait until you fully get the. If you have any inkling to turn to God, if you have any inkling to turn to Jesus, even if you still are filled with doubt, even if you're still filled with disbelief about different things, but there's some inkling there, turn to God, say, I believe, help my unbelief, and then lean into it. Read scripture, pray. If you feel a tug at your heart about things that you've done, repent of it. Repent to God and turn away from those things. And I believe that if you do that over time, that you can turn closer and closer to God, and that you can eventually have saving faith from that. It starts with the mustard seed of faith, and it all starts there. So I would tell you, don't wait until you go, yep, I have no doubt whatsoever, before you turn to God. Turn to God.
Word.
Everyone turn to God.
Tub, Eric, any one sentence, two sentences?
Hey,
did I say anything that contradicts scripture just now?
No, you're good so far. I would let you know. You're good.
Tub always looks for conflict, so if he lets you slide on anything,
I felt like he was
he's very judgmental.
That, yeah.
He's very judgmental.
Yeah. Tub will text you with his corrections later.
All right. With that being said, this has been the Black Powder Podcast. I want to especially thank our guest tonight because this was one of the most profound episodes we've ever had. We went over our normal allotted time by almost 45 minutes, of which he was only here for about 55 of those.
Right.
And with that being said, this is the Black Powder Podcast. We always end with this statement because this is one of the truest statements that mankind has ever made. Live free or die.
Die.
Peace.